For the contenders in the PPG Kart World Series takes place on Roger Penske's California Speedway. The championship is settled already in favour of Alex Zanardi, but the last win of the year is still up for grabs. Hello and welcome to qualifying for the Marlboro 500. Already the first car is out on the track. It's the young German driver Arndt Meyer, slowest of all of the cars in the practice sessions held so far. But we've got qualifying to determine the grid for this last race of the season coming up. It's a glorious day here in California as we go qualifying for the Kart World Series 500. And this brand new facility that Roger Penske has put together over the last few years and spent some $120 million doing looks absolutely brilliant in the sunshine. A bit of haze around, as you can see, as we look towards the mountains in this area. We're about 1 hour's drive due east of downtown Los Angeles, but it's good temperature, as you can see, 30 degrees Celsius, a little bit of wind at the moment, but the humidity not too high at present. Arndt Meyer, the only car on circuit at the moment. Remember, single car qualifying, and we're looking at this young German driver who's been putting in various appearances throughout the year. He hasn't completed the full season, but he certainly has competed in many of the races during the course of the year, and we'll be looking forward to try and put together a program for the entire 1998 season. Now, Arndt Meyer was the slowest of the drivers in the practice sessions that we've held so far this weekend, and for a change we've got a new way of doing the qualifying here on the Super Speedway in California. Instead of taking the cars and picking them at random for their single lap qualifying efforts, this time they're doing it in reverse order. So Arndt Meyer, the slowest from the practice sessions, is the first to go out, and we'll see the man who was fastest in all of the practice sessions so far this weekend, ending up with an average speed of 242 miles per hour around this 2-mile Super Speedway. Maurizio Gugelmin, fastest so far. He will be the last one to go out in this qualifying session. So we should see the climax to this event as the last few cars go out, the likes of Mark Blundell, Jimmy Vasser and Maurizio Gugelmin, and hopefully we'll see the times taken there. Arndt Meyer sets the initial pace though, as you can see, and down in the pits I'm glad to say that we've got Guy Hobbs, who has got together with Jimmy Vasser, the winner of the previous race at Laguna Seca.
Jimmy, you finally got the win off your back at the last round, back to the Super Speedway and an unbelievable facility that Roger Penske has built here.
Oh yeah, it's a great track, and it's always nice to go to the Super Speedways, and you know, hopefully it'll be good to us this weekend.
Well, it hasn't actually been very good to your teammate Alex Zanardi. We just had a press conference with him. He won't be running this weekend, but he will be rooting for you.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate the way things happen for him. We're not really sure what happened to that second crash, but the first one certainly wasn't his fault, and you know, but at least he has the luxury of already being champion. So.
All right, 88 G's the impact on Alex Zanardi. We'll get into that in just a moment. Jimmy, best of luck to you in qualifying and a 100,000 bonus from Marlboro.
So let's take a look at the qualifying rules. As you can see, the qualifying order determined by the fastest practice speeds, as I mentioned, so the fastest going out last. They get up to 3 warm-up laps. They can decide to a certain extent on how many warm-up laps they take. The official speed is the fastest of 2 timed laps, and they have to start the race on the same tyres as used in qualifying. They can't change compounds between the qualifying and the race. So that will set things up for today's qualifying, and as I say, it should build up to the climax with the fastest guys going out towards the end of the session, and we could see quite a few changes as we go out throughout the qualifying. As you heard there, Guy Hobbs and Jimmy Vasser referring to Alex Zanardi. Zanardi's had a very eventful weekend so far, and in fact he will not be playing any further part in the weekend's proceedings. Alex had 2 accidents in yesterday's practice sessions. The first one, which involved Patrick Carpentier, who'd already gone off, and Alex hit some of the debris from Patrick's car. He then crashed a second car later on. Again, both cars too badly damaged to continue, and Alex in fact not feeling so good today, feeling a little bit dizzy, and therefore it's been decided that Alex will not be competing this weekend. So from his point of view, I guess just as well that he wrapped up the championship last time out in Laguna Seca, and the new champion will not be racing in this final race of the year. We're looking at the second slowest car now that is out on the track. That's Hiro Matsushita, the Japanese driver, with his Toyota-powered Reynard. And Matsushita not expected to put in a particularly quick time, but he is faster already than Arndt Meyer did. Arndt Meyer's best time of 33.593, an average speed of 217 miles per hour. Now, as we mentioned earlier, the track here, owned and run by Roger Penske, and Guy Hobbs has met up with Roger Penske down in the pit lane to talk a little bit about it.
Roger, the first thing we must do is commend you on this fantastic facility you've built out here in Ontario.
Well, thank you. I guess it's a labor of love, and there's a lot of people who have spent a lot of time and effort to make this come true, and it's great here to see that we've got the kart cars here running in California again on a super speedway.
Now, this track has been compared to your other facility in Michigan, but what are the intricate differences between the two?
Well, here, of course, we have a little less banking. We are running about 15 degrees versus 17 to 18 in Michigan. I think we have wider pits. Certainly, we moved back the suites to give us more safety areas. We've got all of the paid parking spots for our guests. And again, we've just tried to take all the things we've learned over the years at different racetracks and put them together here in California, and hopefully we've been able to do that.
All right, well, we're certainly enjoying a big crowd and a great day here, and we hope to enjoy more at California Speedway. Thank you, Roger.
Glad to have you folks here. Thank you.
So Roger Penske put together this tremendous facility, sold out on Sunday with 72,000 people turning up. For the moment, though, we're concentrating on qualifying. Back to qualifying here at Fontana California Speedway with the first ever qualifying session for the cars of the PPG Kart World Series out there on track at the moment. The fastest car that we've seen during this session so far is Andre Ribeiro. But the man who's been fastest this weekend is right now with Guy Hobbs. It's Mauricio Guterman.
Yeah, you say fastest, Ben, 242 miles per hour. Mauricio, how's it feel on this new speedway?
Pretty fast. It's a great facility. It's just unbelievable what people did here over 1 year, and the car is running really well, so looking forward for this afternoon.
How does this track differ, do you feel, to Michigan?
It's basically the same layout, but of course you don't have the banking as high as Michigan, but you got the grip from new surface. By the time this track matures a bit more, we're going to lose some of that grip.
Now, the speeds are unbelievable, and they've come up with this new format for the qualifying. How do you think about this what do you think about the new format?
I think for me it's going to work. At least I'm going to know which time I'm going to have to beat this afternoon because I'll be the last guy out. But I think it's great for the fans as well. They can see that the qualifying is going to get quicker towards the end of it.
Now, do you think the weather's going to come into play, though?
It's always a problem in this part of the world. The wind gets a bit strong in the afternoon, but so far has been great. It's heating up a little bit, but we tested here about 2 weeks ago and it was pretty hot when we did it.
All right, well, good luck to you in the qualifying run. Mauricio will be coming up at the end of the qualifying show. I'll send it back up now to Ben Edwards.
Thanks, Guy. Mauricio Guterman then will be last out on the track. This revised qualifying format that we were talking about earlier with the fastest going out last. Jeremy, it's interesting to see this revised format. We're watching Juan Fangio out there at the moment. This format is in fact a little bit more like we've seen in Europe in the past with the German touring car and then the international touring car championships.
I think it's great for the race fans. I think it builds up to a crescendo at the end of the afternoon. That's what qualifying is all about. That's certainly what the race is all about. I think it's great to set the scene in the same way in qualifying. We should see speeds incrementally increase as we go through the order. I think, you know, for the folks sitting in the grandstands here, let alone us watching here on the square screen, I think it's wonderful.
So at the moment, Juan Fangio trying to match the best of Andre Ribeiro. Ribeiro fastest so far with that average speed of 235 miles per hour. And as we mentioned, we're looking at top average speeds of 242 miles per hour here at this California Speedway. Incredible speeds. And Mauricio Guterman fastest so far. But the man who perhaps is expecting his drivers to challenge Mauricio Guterman is Chip Ganassi, and at the moment, Guy is with him in the pit lane.
Chip, you've won the championship. You've had a pretty disappointing weekend as far as Alex Zanardi is concerned. 2 very nasty crashes. He's gone home for the day. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Guy, I mean, it was a situation yesterday morning. Alex got caught up in a crash. Patrick Carpentier, some debris hit him and he lost control of the car. Then in the afternoon in the backup car, we crashed that car pretty much on our own. And, you know, Alex is fine. He's okay. I mean, he just has the medical term I don't know, but I think if he makes sort of fast moves, he has a little bit of vertigo in his ear or something. He took a pretty good shot about 88 Gs. Says a lot for the safety of these cars. He's still walking around, so he's fine. He just didn't quite feel up to driving today, so we're going to put Arie Luyendyk in the car, and he's on his way to the circuit right now.
Ari, of course, lives in Phoenix. He's getting a private jet, should be here in about 4 hours. Will he have a chance to get in the car this afternoon?
Oh, yeah, I hope so. I hope so. It was 4 hours from 10 o'clock, so he'll be here momentarily. And we're going to fit him in the car and see how it goes.
Will that be Jimmy Vassar's backup car?
That is Jimmy's car, and it's really only if Jimmy does not need that car. If Jimmy needs that car, he will be have the first shot at it. So, but there's no point having the car sit here at the last race in the garage if it's a perfectly race-worthy car.
Okay, thank you very much, Chip Ganassi. Of course, Ari Lyondike has previously driven for Chip Ganassi. Let's send it back now to Ben and Jeremy.
Thank you very much, Guy, and it certainly is a fascinating situation. Let's take a look at what caused all this in the first place. If we take a look at what happened in Friday's practice sessions, this was Alex Zanardi yesterday, and, well, it was 2 heavy shunts that he suffered during the course of yesterday's practice sessions. Remember, neither of the sessions yesterday qualified for any positions on the grid, but there was the very nasty shunt indeed for Alex Zanardi. One of 2 heavy wrecks against the wall, which really have meant that Alex unable to drive today, just not feeling up to it, feeling a little bit dizzy and not as sharp as he needs to for a track like this.
A mild concussion, that was described. And this is the second incident of the day. Look at him losing control there going through turn 4, and as that huge flash of flame, that's as a gearbox breaks apart, which is designed to do effectively on these cars. It's a crushable structure in effect, and that dissipates a whole load of energy. 88 Gs, that force of initial impact against the wall.
A huge accident for Alex Zanardi then, the reason that he will not be competing, but we may well see Ari Lyondike. Andre Ribeiro is fastest so far in this qualifying. Track at the moment as he tries to qualify for this weekend's 500-mile race on the California Speedway. He's got to go some to beat the time that's been set by Andre Ribeiro. Andre Ribeiro into the 30-second bracket, 30.988 from Ribeiro. That's a fair chunk faster than anyone else we've seen on track at the moment. But remember, we're seeing the faster cars coming out successively here. Alonso Jr. faster than Ribeiro in practice. I wonder if he will be in qualifying.
Yeah, of course, Ribeiro had very few laps in that car through practice here yesterday and today. He had 3 engine failures. It's remarkable, that really, because since he's got into that car 2 years ago, he's had no engine failures during the official session until the last race in Laguna. This weekend he's had 3. But here's Alonso Jr. on the track.
And you can see the speeds as well in kilometers per hour around the track. And in fact, you'll notice that the average speed, as you can see, lap 1, 369 kilometers per hour, not that much lower than the maximum speeds that you're seeing around the track. They're running absolutely flat out, wide open, as they say over here, in terms of getting around these corners without lifting off the throttle, no slowing down at all. And in fact, the average speed's pretty close to the maximum speed. But the man who has the fastest speed ever on a racetrack is Mario Andretti, and Guy Hobbs is with him down in the pit lane.
Mario, a couple of years ago when you were running with Nigel Mansell, you set the closed circuit lap record for the kart series. Looks like it's going to go away today.
Oh, yeah, big time. I mean, the speeds just have been electrifying here, and considering, you know, they're running 40 inches of boost, and they have a lot of restrictions on the aerodynamics, you know, with the infills and the pods and all the things, but you can see the progress continues. And again, you know, speeds of over 240 miles an hour is just totally amazing.
Is it too fast?
Well, as you can see, if something happens, it's usually a pretty hard thump, and we don't like that. It's a bit unreasonable, yes, I think, you know, again, but what is, you know, we used to think 210 average was unreasonable, so.
And they talked about changing the stagger on the tires, and Michael was a big proponent of that, but what do you think?
I think that's the best thing they could ever do. I cannot understand how anyone in the right mind and conscience would ever want to block that. And we've had people, you know, in the business, the other tire company, you know, trying to block it, and I cannot imagine why doing so, because it accomplishes, it will slow the cars down technically around 12 miles an hour and reduce tremendous costs for the tire companies as well. And here's a tire company that doesn't want it, you know, so it's boggling, mind-boggling.
All right, well, there you hear an outspoken Mario Andretti. And just to update you, of course, Ari Lyondike did do 239 miles per hour at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Back up to you, Ben.
Thanks, Guy. Paul Tracy is on track now. Alonso Jr. has gone 4th fastest, by the way, with his last effort. Ribeiro still fastest from Dennis Vitolo. Juan Fangio, Alonso Jr. up to 4th. Paul Tracy, the man who's so strong in the mid part of the season, Jeremy, just going back to the point that Mario was talking about there, just explain exactly what is being discussed.
Yeah, what they're talking about doing for next year is having zero stagger on the tyres. Now, if we talk about stagger, we're talking about the difference in circumference of the two rear tyres. The actual circumference of the outside tyre, the right-hand side on the rear of the car, is slightly larger than the circumference on the inside tyre. You can imagine a paper cup. If you roll a paper cup, it rolls towards the inside, towards the narrower end of the cup. It's the same with the race tyres. The narrower tyres, the smaller circumference is on the inside, and it helps the cars to turn left into the corners. And what they were talking about doing was having zero staggers, having the same circumference on both sides of the car, which is of course what they normally run on a road course or a street course. And that will eliminate the tendency to turn the car into the corner on their own, so to speak, and the drivers will have to do that themselves and in terms of the setup of the car. And that's what Mario was referring to.
That's still something that's being talked about then. As Paul Tracy now slows down a bit, he has set his time. He's gone fourth fastest, but that puts him behind, do you believe, Dennis Vitolo and Juan Fangio. So the Penske's again are not performing here. I saw Paul Tracy briefly this morning, and he was not too happy about the performance of the car from yesterday's practice sessions. Fourth and fifth at the moment, Tracy and Unser, and coming out onto the track now is Gilles de Ferran. But there, going out of the facility altogether, is Team Alimax's truck, and that is because Patrick Carpentier has withdrawn altogether from this weekend's meeting. Patrick, as we mentioned earlier, was involved in an accident yesterday. He hit the wall very hard indeed, and Zanardi got tied up in that. Carpentier was actually unconscious for a while, taken off to hospital. Nothing major wrong. They ran all the normal scans and checks on the French-Canadian. Thankfully he's okay, but because he was unconscious, it was called that Patrick Carpentier would not be able to race. And the team also deciding not to bother running Roberto Moreno in the car this weekend. So we see the truck disappearing and the Alimax car will not be competing.
Great shame. That car has run so well on the ovals this season, and I know Roberto Moreno is disappointed. They just figured there wasn't really enough time to get him up to speed and really give him a fair crack at getting the best out of the car this weekend. And interesting, of course, they should make that decision then this morning. Chip Ganassi should go totally the other way in terms of running an extra car for Arie Luyendyk. But it's a shame that that car will not be on the track. It has been so good this season on the ovals. They would love to finish off on a high note for Team Alimax.
Gilles de Ferran then on track at the moment. He's coming around in a moment to take the green flag, and the next two laps are the timed laps that count towards his grid position for the race. Now, de Ferran has taken a couple of pole positions already this year, but those pole positions have come on the streets of Long Beach and on the streets of Detroit as well, not on the super speedway, but he has had some good performances on the ovals as well this year. It's very much a series of results that have come in the latter part of the season for Gilles de Ferran. But remember, he's already wrapped up second place in the championship, and it has been a very good season from him.
It certainly has done a tremendous job. It's his third season in the PPG Kart World Series. He's won a race in each of his first two seasons, and he'd be desperately disappointed if he wasn't able to keep that streak going this year. But of course, this is his last opportunity, and to date in practice he hasn't shown race-winning speed. But race-winning speed is not shown during practice, it's shown during the race, and that's the real key to this car tomorrow.
Let's just watch and listen for a moment as Gilles de Ferran goes around his second flying lap here. Just coming out of turn 2, you can see the bumps affecting the steering wheel up the back stretch now. Now listen to the engine note here. You just hear that slight drop in engine note as the loading comes up on the car. He flashes past our commentary position across the line, and de Ferran is second fastest. He's unable to match the time of Andre Ribeiro, the fellow Brazilian, and Gilles de Ferran, perhaps slightly surprisingly, not as fast here at the California Speedway as we've seen him on previous occasions this year. Currently he's on the outside of row 1, but remember, we've still got the vast majority of faster drivers to come out on the track. But a great view of the track itself as we saw him on board there at speeds of over 245 miles an hour on some parts as they come down to the end of the two straights. It is a D-shaped oval though, remember, so the back stretch is straight, but the front stretch, they're actually curving through the curve of the D. And you're now watching Christian Fittipaldi out there in the Budweiser car, and Christian and Michael Andretti hoping for great things from the Swift chassis, which is built not too far away from this circuit.
Yeah, only 40 or 50 miles away down the coast a little bit in San Clemente. and a lot of Swift employers here this weekend cheering this car on. They've dialed the car in steadily. It's been improving. I think Goodyear tyres might be the limiting factor. Certainly throughout practice, the Firestone seem to have had a little bit of an advantage. But certainly Michael this morning made some pretty good strides with that car, and Brian Herter was quick as well. So we'll see what Christian can do right now.
He's building up to his speed at the moment. He's still on his warm-up laps. They do 3 warm-up laps normally before taking the green flag, and then the 2 time laps that count. He's got 1 more lap until he sees the green flag. You're watching him through turns 1 and 2 at the moment. He's just taking things a little steady at the moment, building up the speed, but it's a question of building up the momentum during those warm-up laps. It's a bit like getting a conch on the end of the string and just beginning to spin it faster and faster and faster, and that's really what these guys are trying to achieve as they build up towards their qualifying effort.
Amazing to watch, isn't it? It's infinitesimal movements of the steering wheel there. There is the green flag from Jim Swintal, and Christian Fittipaldi flying there into turn 1. He just eases the car down toward the white line. You can see he stays 5 or 6 feet above the white line and lets the car then drift out towards the wall in turn 2.
It's just so fast, and again, it's hard for the camera to pick up the speed of these cars as they come past and the amount of air that the car is moving. If you're near the track, you can just feel that volume of air as it's rushed through by this car. And across Fittipaldi, just comes out of turn 4, goes past us, picks up the white flag, which means he's now onto his last qualifying lap. You can see the segment speeds at various points around the track. 381 kilometers per hour is the top speed there, as you can see, going down into turn 1. It's a little bit bumpy in a few places, though, this track, and the drivers have been reporting that makes life a bit tricky at these sort of speeds.
It certainly does, and they're not very happy about it. Particularly turn 1 and 2, though, I think the bumps are a little bit worse. 3 and 4, the groove opens up a little bit, and it doesn't seem too bad. That first time around, the last warm-up lap was a 31.2 for Fittipaldi, which would be 3rd fastest overall.
So Christian goes 3rd so far. Ribeiro is still fastest at the moment, from Gilles de Ferran in 2nd, Christian Fittipaldi 3rd, and then Dennis Vitolo is 4th fastest. So Christian slows it down, and he heads back towards the pits. Next out on track are some of the faster guys, including the fastest Maurizio Gugelmin. Is on his 2nd qualifying lap here. He's just put in an extremely fast first lap that's put him on the same time as Andre Ribeiro. Let's see whether there's any further improvement. Michel Jourdain goes fastest. So a great performance from the young Mexican. Fabulous stuff. A 30.872 average speed of 236.603 miles per hour, and that has to be quite a surprise. We've seen Jourdain really coming good in the last couple of races, Jeremy. Laguna Seca, he qualified brilliantly, but what a great effort that is.
Tremendous. And you know, he missed all of yesterday morning's session. They had a gearbox problem very early in the Friday morning practice session, sat out all of that session. They did get out in the afternoon, and he crept up gradually in his speed, but that's a tremendous effort, as you say, for Michel Jourdain Jr.
Well, there's been other changes this weekend, and one of them is that Robbie Gordon is driving instead of Dario Franchitti. Let's hear from him.
Thank you, Ben. Robbie Gordon making a return to the kart series, being off in NASCAR. How's it feel to be back, first of all?
I'm pretty excited. We're having a pretty good run here, getting ready to go out to qualify. I think we've got a decent opportunity to bring the top 10 for the race, and you know, hopefully we can finish all 500 miles.
You didn't have a chance to test, but you came in yesterday. After a little bit of commotion in the morning, you went out and were 4th quickest. That was pretty impressive.
Yes, I was really excited to go that quick. You know, I'm surprised we went that quick the first day back in the car. I haven't driven one of these cars in a year, and you know, I just want to thank Hogan and the whole Hogan crew for giving me an opportunity to get in the car to go faster.
Now, you've driven this track before. How does this compare in a kart car to a NASCAR?
There's no comparison. They're both a lot of fun to drive. Just big difference in where you steer and how you enter the corner between the two cars.
And will we see you back full-time in 1998?
Time will tell.
All right, Robbie Gordon has taken over the seat from Dario Franchitti, making his return to the kart series with the Hogan car.
So out on track at the moment is Raul Boesel, just building up his speed as he goes for another qualifying effort. But we should just return to that story as Raul Boesel takes the green flag. Just briefly back to that story, Jeremy. It's a very important story, of course, that Dario Franchitti, who's been so impressive this year with Carl Hogan's team, not able to race in this final race, and there's obviously been a little bit of a falling out there, shall we say?
Yes, I think you could say that. It's become really common knowledge much that Dario Franchitti will be driving next year for Team Cool Green. Carl Hogan, however, has not been officially informed of that situation by Dario Franchitti, and he was very upset by that. He feels that Dario at the very least owed him the right to tell him at least what is going on, and still no word from Dario. And between Mercedes and Carl Hogan, they're both pretty upset. Mercedes, of course, has taken Dario Franchitti under its wing for the last 3 years, and he's next year going to be driving a Honda car. So they said, well, look, if you're going to go over there, if that's your attitude, if that's the way you want to play it, maybe you better go now rather than later, and we'll perhaps work a little bit more towards next season. There is no definitive word that Robbie Gordon will drive that car next year by any means, but that's obviously the way they're thinking at the moment.
Well, Raul Boesel's just finished his effort, and he is second fastest now. That's a good effort from Raul Boesel. Michel Jourdain fastest, Boesel second, Ribeiro in third, De Ferran fourth. So we've got Brazilian drivers second, third and fourth at the moment. But Michel Jourdain is fastest of all after that superb effort. Raul Boesel now with a 30.971. He goes second fastest. And remember, he's had a pole position on an oval this year, not a super speedway, but that was on the oval at the Gateway track in St. Louis, the second of the new tracks being used this year. Adrian Fernandez is now out, and another Mexican, of course, but what has been surprising so far this weekend is how fast Adrian Fernandez has been with the Lola. We've all been saying how bad this Lola chassis is all year and how much they've been struggling with it, but Adrian Fernandez was 12th fastest, in fact slightly better than that overall if you take out some of the spare cars, of all of the competitors. A great effort from Fernandez, and Jeremy, they seem to have got this Lola running a little bit faster this weekend.
They have. It seems to suit this track. Maybe it's the temperature that suits it, whatever. There's some more developments on that car. They have a new underwing on the car to direct the airflow underneath the car. That is new for this weekend. They've also tried some slightly different shock valving on the car as well, just to try and settle it down over the bumps here, and the package is working extremely well. Adrian was telling me actually this morning that the car still was a little bit inconsistent. It's a bit nervous. He wasn't quite sure what it was going to do going into the corners, but I think they've improved that this morning some more, and pretty good effort so far, as you say, by the Mexican driver.
Yeah, you don't want it nervous on a track like this where you're over 240 miles an hour, do you? You really want something that gives you a little bit of confidence, but hopefully, as you say, they've managed to sort that. Been some changes with regards to Lola, the builders of this chassis, over the last couple of weeks, and Martin Bourrain has now got involved with the company, and interestingly also, Mike Blanchet, who was previously involved with the company of Lola, is now also going to be back involved again.
Yeah, great news. I think Mike Blanchet is a great guy. He has a lot of experience working with Lola cars, working on the kind of cars and the developments that they will be doing now in Lola Cars International, as they've been called. And Martin Bourrain has a good name around the sport. He is the owner of Mondello Park in Ireland. It might not be one of the world's most often featured racetracks, but he's done a nice job there. He was a pretty accomplished driver in his own right in his day, and he's regarded, I think, as a pretty pragmatic character. If anybody can get Lola cars back on its feet, I think Martin Bourrain is probably a good man for the job. So very good to see, and it's great to see Mike Blanchet back in action as well.
Well, there's the Lola, and Adrian Fernandez has just set a time that's put him 5th fastest so far. We've still got quite a few of the faster competitors to come out on track, but still a good effort that from Fernandez. It's put him between the cars of Gilles de Ferran and Parker Johnston, ahead of people like Christian Fittipaldi and well ahead of the likes of Paul Tracy and Alonso Jr., who are down already in 10th and 11th, and they're going to be right towards the back of the grid, those two Penske's, by the time this qualifying session has been completed. Second flying lap for Fernandez, and that means he still holds on to 5th place. So Adrian Fernandez, no further improvement for him at the moment. Let's go down to Guy Hobbs in the pit lane.
Michel Jourdain, that's a big smile you have on your face right now. Unbelievable, quickest time of the day. Fellow Mexican Adrian Fernandez just went 5th. You've got to be very, very happy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously every time is going to be harder because the fastest cars are at the end. So I think now the worst we can be, it's 10th. So, I mean, I hope we can improve the position from Laguna. I hope we can be 8th or better. So I'm happy. The team has done a great job, and it's very important the last race to have a good result. So tomorrow it's going to be a very long race, and I hope we finish the race and have a good day, a consistent day, and we'll be, I hope, in the top 3.
Obviously, you had a great finish at Laguna Seca. A lot different to finish a race here, though. 500 miles. What's the strategy?
Yeah, here, I mean, really qualifying is not important because the race is so long that you just need to run a consistent day and be there at the end, and we can be in good position.
All right, well, good luck to you.
Thank you. And
so Michel Jourdain, the 21-year-old, doing a fantastic job so far, but there'll be some faster cars coming out throughout this session, and we're looking forward to this changing as we go through the qualifying session. Conditions still here for qualifying, and we're taking a look back at what happened just a few moments ago when Brian Herter took to the track. And Brian Herter in great form here in the Shell car. He's taken a couple of pole positions already this year, and he's just put in a very fast lap on the Super Speedway, a 30.705. That has put him ahead of Michel Jourdain Jr., the first man to go ahead. In fact, Scott Pruitt has just gone faster than Jourdain as well, but Herter is our provisional pole sitter at the moment, still with several fast guys due to come out onto the track. Average speed for Herter, 237.890 miles per hour, as opposed to the kilometers per hour showing on your screen at the moment. And Brian Herter looking for his third pole position of the year. Great performance from him so far. He's matched his performances on the road courses, and he's joined up by Guy in the pit lane.
Brian, high-speed Herter, they call you here in your native California. You're doing well in California, a pole at Laguna, and right now temporarily sitting at the front of the pack.
Well, yeah, I certainly don't expect it to hold up. I know Mauricio and Vassar and some of those guys went really fast in practice, but yeah, I'm real happy because that's about as fast as we went in practice, and we had a little bit of a toe on that lap, so you know, to do it by ourselves, that's a good effort.
And for a 500-miler, really qualifying isn't that so important because obviously it's a long day out there and you've got to survive the attrition.
Yeah, but it's important to the drivers. You know, you want to qualify up high. It makes you feel good going into the race. If nothing else, it's sort of a moral victory and gives you a little bit more confidence when you head out for the race on Sunday.
Well, there's also 120 grand on the line too if you can win it from the pole.
Well, you don't think that we're not thinking about that too.
All right, good luck to you, Brian.
Okay, thanks.
On track at the moment is Mark Blundell, but his first time lap is disappointing to say the least. It's put him 11th fastest, a 31.082. He needs to find 3/10 of a second to match Brian Herter's time so far. And Mark Blundell has been fast all weekend so far, so this is a real surprise to see that first lap of his quite so slow. I say slow, it's still very, very fast, of course, but not as fast as he has achieved this morning. Again, he was third fastest this morning with a 30.4. His second flying lap is better. He goes sixth fastest, but it's still a disappointing run, that, from Mark Blundell, Jeremy.
Yeah, very surprising indeed. The fast zone tires have been absolutely phenomenal so far through practice. And you know, he turned a lap this morning at 239 miles an hour, and 235, 236.068, a little bit disappointing.
Well, here we're taking a look back at Scott Pruitt's fast lap, and Scott also managed to go very quickly indeed. He went ahead of Michel Jourdain by only 0.03 of a second, but ahead nonetheless, and that's put him second fastest now to Brian Herter. So the way it reads at the moment is Brian Herter fastest, Scott Pruitt second, and the common link between those two guys, they both have Ford engines, so the Ford motor seems to be running very effectively. In fact, 1, 2, 3 as well, because Michel Jourdain also has the Ford Cosworth power unit, and that really seems to be running well here. Remember, Bobby Rahal ran very competitively at Michigan as well earlier on in the season.
Yeah, and Scott Pruitt on the pole there, wasn't he? So once again, Ford Cosworth has done a tremendous job this year, not only with the horsepower, but also reliability. And that's really good work by that combination.
Let's go down to Guy in the pits again.
And you're talking about Ford power, 1, 2, 3. The blue oval going well here at the California Speedway. Scott Pruitt, what's coming on for you here today?
Well, we made a slight adjustment for the afternoon conditions. You know, it's got quite a bit hotter. Unfortunately, we didn't make enough. We picked up a pretty good understeer both ends, so we'll wait and see what these other guys do, and we'll go back and now work on it for the race.
Well, one of the biggest threats to you is going to be Mark Blundell, who's been quick all weekend. He's about 11th quickest right now, so that's good news for you.
Well, that's good news, but there's still a few guys left, so let's see how it shakes out.
And your first win in the kart series came on the Super Speedway in Michigan. Think you can do it again here at Roger Pence's other track?
You bet. You got to have a little bit of luck, but, you know, I'm pretty confident that we can do a good job, and, you know, the Brahma guys as usual are on, so we'll see how it goes.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
Jimmy Vassar's on track now, second fastest after all of the practice sessions that we've had so far this weekend. We're expecting really the battle for pole to be between Jimmy Vassar and Maurizio Gugelmin, the last two to go out in this session. And let's just remind you, Alex Zanardi not competing after the accidents he suffered in the practice sessions on Friday. The the new champion rather, will not be competing this weekend here in California. Great disappointment for his many fans, but Jimmy Vassar now will be out to try and uphold the honour for Chip Ganassi. Well, we were expecting Harry Lyondike to turn up, and Vassar has gone fastest with that first flying lap. As you can see, he's become the pole sitter. Fastest speed, 30.6, a tenth of a second faster than Brian Herter, an average speed of 238.410 miles per hour. Jimmy Vassar in great form. And you'll notice there that he's actually wearing a different crash helmet to normal, Jeremy. There was a plan. In fact, they would both have been wearing different crash helmets for the qualifying today.
Yeah, designed by a couple of the kids there at the St. Jude Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, cancer hospital there, cancer children. And these two won the awards to paint a different helmet for the two Target Chip Ganassi drivers, and they really do look super. It's a flame design there and a checkered flag on Jimmy Vassar's helmet. It looks beautiful.
Jimmy Vassar then is our new pole sitter, from Brian Herter second and Scott Pruitt third. Maurizio Gugelmin is still to go. Can he grab the pole position in the dying moments of the session? Maurizio Gugelmin coming around on his second warming up lap now as he tries to grab that pole position from Jimmy Vassar. For the honour, as much as anything, it's a 500-mile race and anything can happen in that distance. But Gugelmin would love to take the pole position here. He's taken 2 poles so far this year. That was one at Rio on the oval track in Brazil and one on a very different track at Road America. So Gugelmin, who has put in an extremely rapid time on his second warm-up lap, is looking very, very good to take the pole position here. You can see the practice time that Gugelmin did in this morning's session was much quicker than Vassar has achieved so far. The temperature has climbed, of course, but Gugelmin is set here surely to take pole position.
Astonishing second warm-up line. Here he comes now across the line to take the white flag there from Jim Swintal, and there is a lap, 30.342 seconds, pole for Maurizio Gugelmin.
Fantastic stuff from the Brazilian, and the man who's taken his first win this year in Vancouver just a couple of races ago is really looking in fine form. Mark Blundell, his teammate, is down in 8th place, but he has cracked the 240-mile-an-hour barrier with that last lap, 240.736 miles per hour for Maurizio Gugelmin, and he is now coming around to complete his second flying lap. Let's see if there's any further improvement in time as he crosses the line. Yes, it is a slight improvement, a 30.316, a full 0.2 of a second faster than anybody else has achieved here this afternoon, and Maurizio Gugelmin does indeed take his third pole position of the year. That makes him second in the rankings in terms of pole positions. Zanardi completes the year with 4 pole positions, but Maurizio Gugelmin has jumped ahead of a whole bunch of people who scored 2 poles this year, and he'll score the extra point and the $10,000 and a chance for the Marlboro bonus as well, which has got up to well over $100,000 if he wins the race tomorrow. So let's have a look there. It's a new record, a new closed course qualifying record for Maurizio Gugelmin. There you can see the previous marks. Harry Lyondike at 381 kilometers per hour, 387 kilometers per hour for Maurizio Gugelmin, and Jimmy Vassar had the old 2-mile closed course record as well. But down to the pits, we've got the man who was second fastest in that session. Down with guys, Jimmy Vassar.
Jimmy Vassar, your pole position was about as short-lived as your rock and roll career. Mauricio Gugelmin goes out and gets that 240-mile-an-hour speed, breaking all the records. What do you think of that?
Well, he did a heck of a job, and but yeah, I think we got a good race car for tomorrow. We're gonna try to take that, keep him from taking that Marlboro money.
Take that Marlboro money. Jimmy Vassar, who was temporarily on the pole, will start at the moment in second position. Maurizio Gugelmin has just pulled in. We'll try and get a word with him too, and we'll be back with you, Ben.
Well, Maurizio Gugelmin being congratulated by the Pac West crew there. Great job done for Maurizio Gugelmin. As you can see, the speeds, Gugelmin is fastest from Vassar. They'll start together on the front row with Herter and Pruitt on the second. But Michel Jourdain has qualified 5th for the 500 here in California. His best qualifying performance ever. Superb effort from him. There'll be some drivers a little more disappointed. Qualifying completed then, and Maurizio Gugelmin has taken a fantastic pole position here at the California Speedway. The first ever pole, of course, for the PPG Kart World Series as they make their first visit. Next year, the schedule is very slightly different. We've got a few more additions, including the race in Motegi in Japan, and that's at the end of March. And indeed, next year we've got 19 races instead of the 17 being held during the 1997 season. Through the mid part of the year, the race is much the same as we've seen over the last couple of seasons: Detroit, Portland, Cleveland, and the streets of Toronto. But we have one or two more changes towards the end of the season as well, with the race in Houston, Texas, the Australian race towards the end of the year, and this Fontana race right at the beginning of November. So that's how the schedule looks for next year. But let's just confirm what's been happening with the qualifying here. Gugelmin fastest from Jimmy Vasser, Herta, Pruitt, Jourdain a superb effort from Moore, Andretti, Blundell 8th, Bozell 9th, and Bobby Rahal, who went well at the Michigan Superspeedway in 10th. Ahead of Ribeiro, De Ferran, Robbie Gordon 13th in his comeback, Fernandez 14th, and Johnston, Fittipaldi, Dennis Vitolo, Juan Fangio. And look at where the Penskes are, 19th and 20th for Paul Tracy and Alonso Jr. Ahead of Jones, Hearn, Matsushita and Arndt Meyer, with Salis, Papis and Leyendijk still to set their times. Maurizio Gugelmin taking that pole position though with an excellent effort, and just that little bit ahead of everybody else in the end, a little bit 2/10 of a second ahead of Jimmy Vasser, and that in terms of a super speedway really is a tremendous amount.
240.942 miles an hour, a new world record for a closed course. Remarkable effort by Maurizio Gugelmin.
So Gugelmin taking the pole position here at the California Speedway, and Guy managed to catch up with him in the pit lane.
Maurizio Gugelmin, or Big Mo as you're known on the kart circuit, congratulations. Unbelievable, first of all, the pole position, but also that unbelievable new world record for speed. How'd that feel?
Feels fast. It's just great to achieve that here. My whole team is just gave me a car that is, I run 3 laps above 240. That's just unreal. The car was just on rails. Just so happy.
Now, we came here and tested a couple of weeks ago. You were quickest out of the box. In fact, you had a quote that said you even came out and your warm-up lap was at 2:30, so you knew speeds were going to be quick. You were quick in testing, quick all weekend, and now get that pole position. Obviously, there's a chance if you can win this one from the pole position, there's $120,000 to you from Marlboro, which has also got to be a bit of an incentive.
Oh yeah, it will help my pocket a lot. You know, it's just money is always welcome, and the team is giving me the car, so I'm really looking forward to go for a win tomorrow. I know we can get third in the championship, and 500 miles is always a race that we do well, so I hope we have a car that's going to stay the way it is. We should be looking good.
You also get a key to a Mercedes, which you'll get a chance to try this afternoon and maybe walk away with a brand new Mercedes.
That'll be great. I mean, I always use Mercedes cars on the road, and to have another one would be great, especially when it comes free.
You also mentioned the chance of getting third in the championship, depending on where Greg Moore finishes tomorrow. The championship in 3rd to 5th could really change around.
Yeah, that's wide open over there, but we got the car. The team has been working tremendous this year, so we're on the right track.
And the other good news is you're going to be back again with Pac West next year.
Not only next year, 99 too, so they're the best guys out there.
All right, good luck to you, Maurizio, in the race tomorrow. Well done.
Congratulations.
So Maurizio Gugelmin, a race winner already this year. Can he do the same when he goes out for the 500-mile race here? Maurizio Gugelmin then will be on the front row alongside Jimmy Vasser. The second row will see Brian Herta and Scott Pruitt together. Brian Herta, just note that he's the fastest of the Goodyear retired cars. Michel Jourdain and Greg Moore will line up together. Michael Andretti, watch out for him in the race tomorrow, because he was so fast at Michigan before he had a transmission failure. Mark Blundell a little further down than we might have expected. Raul Boesel and Bobby Rahal together. Then Andre Ribeiro and Gilles de Ferran on row number 6. Row 7, Robbie Gordon making his comeback, and Adrian Fernandez doing a good job with the Lola today. Parker Johnson and Christian Fittipaldi will line up on the 8th row of the grid, and Fittipaldi will maybe hope for better than that. Dennis Vitolo and Juan Fangio on row 9, Paul Tracy and Alonso Jr. on row number 10, but don't count them out completely. Paul Tracy managed to get a result at Michigan by just staying in there. PJ Jones, Richie Hearn, Hiro Matsushita and Arndt Meyer on rows 10 and 11, and at the back of the field, note especially Arie Leyendijk, who will be driving the car vacated by Alex Zanardi. And in fact, Arie Leyendijk arriving with just a few seconds of track time available in the qualifying, didn't manage to get out onto the track, being shown by Mo Nunn there. Jeremy, a little bit more about the car.
Yeah, just getting a guided tour to the cockpit of the Target Reynard Honda. He's used to the faster tyres, of course, from his IRL experience this year with Treadway Racing. And, of course, Arie drove with Chip Ganassi in 1993, so he knows the team very well. And there's Morris just giving him a few tips on what all the buttons and dials and things are for there in the cockpit. And Arie will go out and qualify this afternoon and get ready for tomorrow's race.
So that should be quite something to see Arie Leyendijk coming from the back of the field, and you'll be able to watch it with us, the Kart World Series 500 from the Super Speedway here in California. The final race of the year. It promises to be a tremendous race with Gugelmin and Vasser on the front row, and Arie Leyendijk trying to fight his way up from the back of the field when he comes back into the Kart Series. Plenty to look forward to in the race. I hope you can join us for that. Maurizio Gugelmin, the winner of the pole, will he be the winner of the race? Join us to find out.